My name is James Barragan, and I'm a Metro reporter with the Austin American-Statesman. I'm standing here near the corner of Weberville and Pedernales, and what I'm here to show you is this new two-way protected bike lane that's recently been put in place over the last couple of months. It's really great for bicyclists because it's a two-way protected bike lane, so it creates a physical barrier. You can see the white post behind me, and then on another section it's a concrete barrier, which create this physical separation between a cyclist and two-ton vehicular traffic that is driving up and down the street. So it makes a cyclist feel a lot safer to know that there is an actual physical barrier separating them and the two-ton vehicle right next to them. So it's great for cyclists. But in the last couple of weeks, there's been some complaints from neighbors who have said that the bike lanes have made it a little bit more difficult to drive around their neighborhoods. As you can see, Pedernales is a pretty narrow street, and the bike lanes do take up a little bit of the northbound lane. So neighbors have complained that it makes driving a little bit more difficult, that they're not used to having bicyclists on their roads, and that it's making it really difficult to get around. So I came around to just take a little drive around the neighborhood and see just how difficult it actually is to get around if there's a bike lane. Okay, so I'm here at Parque Zaragoza Neighborhood Park, and this is where we're going to start our drive. We're going to go left here, southbound on Pedernales, and try to go all the way down to Cesar Chavez. Here we go. So the first thing here that I'm noticing is there is the bike lane, so you do have to watch out for if there's bike traffic coming up and down the bike lanes. But then the second thing you've got to look out for is if there's oncoming traffic, vehicular traffic going northbound and southbound. So right now southbound there isn't, and northbound there isn't. So we've got a quick turn here, and that's all right. Now that's one of the turns that a lot of neighbors have been complaining about. They said it makes it much more difficult to make those turns, especially if you're coming out from your home. So I'm gonna just go in and out of these neighborhoods just to kind of show to you guys how easy or difficult it might be. All right, so we're coming up on the Pedernales and 2nd Street intersection. We're gonna try to make the turn here. And actually this one is a little bit different because this is where the bike lane actually goes on the sidewalk, and that's just to address concerns by the neighborhood that there would be more traffic and narrower streets and parking congestion. So that one is a little bit tougher. There wasn't any cyclists on the road there, but I see how that one could be difficult. Now we're up on Pedernales and Cesar Chavez Street. This one is a little bit difficult because it's just Cesar Chavez is such a big street and there's so much traffic on it that it kind of makes it hard for a driver to get across. But they do expect to put a traffic light there, which should make everything a little bit easier. And if you'll notice, there is no actual bike lane or protected barrier on the northbound lane as of now. That's going to come in the next 2 months when they hope to have the project finished. And once those are put into place, that will be the last, phase of the project. So here we are on Pedernales and Diaz again. We did the left-handed turn here. Now I want to go ahead and try to do the right-handed turn. There is some northbound traffic. I've got to creep up a little bit and try to see if there's any bike lane traffic. There isn't. But I think that's another one of the issues the neighbors brought up. When their view is obstructed, they've got to kind of creep up into the bike lane. And one lady told me that as she creeped up into the bike lane to see if vehicular traffic was coming up, she almost hit a cyclist who was coming southbound her way. So that's another thing that is causing a problem. And city officials have said, it just takes a little bit more getting used to, maybe more signage, and maybe more education efforts, which they're gonna put additional signage here to just kind of tell everybody, hey, there's a new bike lane, you might want to drive a little bit slower. And actually one of the guys I spoke to had a really great line. He said, even though it's a little bit more uncomfortable for the drivers, it's actually safer. Which if you think about it, it actually is, because you're driving a little bit slower, because there's an off chance that there might be a cyclist, and you're also more alert to the things around you. Okay, so we just got back from our drive. We're right back where we started. What did I learn? A couple of things. After a couple ins and outs in the neighborhoods and the small streets, I figured out that I just needed to drive a little bit slower and just be a little bit more careful. When I started getting to stops, I started stopping right before them. And then I did find that, like the neighbor said, there were things on the side streets that kind of obscure the view. So you do have to kind of creep up into the bike lane to be able to see if there's oncoming vehicular traffic. So my strategy was just, I would stop right before the stop sign to see if there's any cyclist traffic. Then once I confirmed that there was nothing there, I would roll into the bike lane, which gave me better vision of the vehicular traffic. And after I confirmed that there was no vehicular traffic, then I made a slow turn and went slowly just in case there was something that I needed to make a reaction to. So I guess there is that whole thing that the city officials kind of told me, that it's just kind of a change of behavior. It just takes some time and maybe a little bit more added signage or extra signage to let people know to be just a little bit more alert about cycling traffic. And actually, I mentioned earlier I hadn't seen as many cyclists as I did yesterday when I did this drive just on my own. I just saw a group of 4 cyclists traveling down this bike lane right here on Weberville. They were just perfectly at ease, riding their bicycles and getting around. But anyway, if you've done the drive around here, or if you live in the neighborhood, or just have an opinion on how getting around changes once there are bike lanes, give us a shout in the comments, or you can shoot me an email or follow me on Twitter. I'm at James_Barragan, and you can always just look me up on the statesman.com website. Thanks a lot.